Super. We'll call your next witness.
The defendant calls Dave Carlin.
Carlin. I stand to be sworn, sir. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Please be seated.
Could you state your name and introduce yourself to the jury, please?
Dave Carlin.
And are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Rossi Construction.
And how long have you worked there?
14 years.
And what's your title, your position with Rossi Construction?
Roofing manager.
Okay. And did you hold that position in January 2008?
Yes.
What are your job duties? Can you tell the jury a little bit about what your job entails?
Organizing the roofing and making sure that everything's done properly on the roofs.
Do you actually go out to roofing jobs and perform some of the work yourself?
Yes.
And is that both residential and commercial?
Yes.
Do you have any other construction experience aside from Rossi Construction?
Yeah, a little bit of roofing.
Okay. Now, in January 2008, do you recall doing some work for Dennis Clark?
Yes.
And what kind of work did you do for him?
Roofing and gutters.
And on what kind of structures was that?
I'm sorry?
What kind of structures did you do that work on? Was it his house or?
Yeah, house and garage.
Okay. And how was it that you were assigned that project, Mr. Clark's house?
I received the contract from the office.
And do you always get a copy of the contract before
Yes.
you go out to do a job?
Yes.
If you could take a look at Defendant's Exhibit B, it's in the black binder right in front of you there.
Yes.
Do you recognize that document? B?
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, the scope of work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's the job proposal.
Okay. And is this for a specific job?
Yes.
Which job was this for?
For Mr. Clark's house?
Now, is there some specific items of work listed on that document?
Yeah, the roofing and gutters and downspouts.
Okay. When you go to a job, or when you went to Mr. Clark's home with a copy of this contract, does this dictate what work you perform on that job?
Yes.
And do you ever do any kind of work that's not on the contract?
No.
How long did the job take on Mr. Clark's home?
2 days.
And how many guys did you have working with you?
5.
5? Including you or in addition?
Yes, including me.
Now, on the first day when you got to Mr. Clark's home, what was the first work item that you did?
We tore the shingles off the roof.
And what did you do with the shingles that you tore off of the roof?
We carried them over and threw them in the dumpster.
Okay. And why is it that, do you throw them in the dumpster immediately, or do they pile up?
Yes, it's easier to throw them into the dumpster right off the roof versus throwing them down, picking them up again.
So you'd be creating more work for yourself if
Yes.
you didn't? Okay. Now what comes after you remove all of the old shingles?
Take all the roofing paper off and inspect all the wood.
All right. And did you inspect the wood? Is that the
Yeah.
roofing, the deck?
They're decking, yeah.
The decking, yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Did you inspect all of that on
Yes.
Mr. Clark's home?
Yes.
Did you notice anything that indicated that any of it needed to be replaced?
No, the decking was all fine.
Did you replace any decking on his home?
No decking was replaced.
Now, if you had noticed that something needed to be replaced, would you have replaced it?
Yes, absolutely.
And would that have been an additional charge to Mr.
Yes.
Clark?
Yes, it would have.
What comes after you've inspected the roof decking and determined that everything is sound?
That's when we dry it in with the felt paper and the ice and water shield.
Which one goes down first?
Ice and water shield goes along all the roof edges first.
Okay. And how does that ice and water shield adhere to the roof decking?
It's got a plastic on the back. Once the plastic's peeled off, it's sticky, sticks to the decking.
Okay. Do you nail it in?
We don't have to. We normally don't nail it in unless it's a windy day.
Okay. And is that the standard operating procedure for installing?
Yeah, on a hot day, it's very sticky, and once it's stuck, it's stuck. You can't remove it.
Okay. Now, where did you install the ice and water shield?
All the roof edges, where all the gutters are and the roof edges of the house.
Okay, and then you said the paper comes after that?
The felt paper, yeah.
All right. And once the felt paper's down, what do you do?
Then it's ready to go ahead and start installing shingles.
All right. And once you had the shingles installed, or as you're doing the job, did you do anything else besides put the shingles on?
As far as roofing, I mean, yeah, the roof vents and pipe boots and all that.
Okay. What did you do with those?
We installed the new roof vents and boots on there.
Was it an even exchange? Did you replace the existing ones, or were
Yeah,
you?
we take the existing ones off, put new ones in.
Okay. Did you install any other additional roof vents other than what already existed?
Not than what was already there, no.
Why not?
Because it wasn't on the contract.
Now, when you replace the roof vents, the existing roof vents, do you caulk around the edges of
No,
those vents?
no caulking should be necessary on new vents and pipe boots.
And why is that?
Because they're new. I mean, the proper way is, if it's caulking, it's probably got a problem on it.
Okay.
As long as it's flashed properly, it should not need no caulking.
All right. Is there any potential for any sort of water leaks if you don't caulk
No.
around the edges?
No, not if it was shingled correctly.
Okay. Now, did you do the shingles on the first day? Put the new shingles
Yes.
down? And was that on the house and the garage?
Yes.
Did you do anything else that first day?
No.
Okay. Now, when you went back on the second day, what did you do on the second day?
Did the gutters and downspouts?
Did you put new ones in?
New gutters and downspouts, yes.
And did you replace the gutter apron on Mr. Clark's home?
No.
Or on his garage?
No.
Did you have to take the existing gutter apron down in order to install the new gutters and downspouts?
No, we did not.
So, did you do anything at all with his gutter apron?
Nothing with the gutter apron.
When you showed up to do the work on Mr. Clark's home, was the gutter apron secured to the roof?
Yes.
And when you left Mr. Clark's home after doing the work, was the gutter apron secured to the home?
Yes, it was.
How are those secured?
They usually get nailed in up underneath the shingles on the back of the roof, or after the gutter's put in, sometimes we'll secure a screw in the front just to kind of help hold them on the gutters a little better.
Do you have to do that?
You don't have to, no.
Okay. Now, during the time that you were, I'm sorry, let me back up. Did you do anything else besides install the new gutters and downspouts on that second day?
No.
Did you do any kind of cleanup work?
We did do a final cleanup, walk around, run the magnet and stuff,
What is the magnet
for
detect?
picking up the nails from the roofing debris and stuff like that.
Okay. And during the time that you were at Mr. Clark's home doing this work, did you see Mr. Clark at all?
Yes, he was outside with us when we were working on the house.
How frequently?
I I remember him being in and out. I couldn't say exactly how long, but he was in and out definitely when we were working.
Okay. Did you guys talk at all?
Yeah, I spoke with him while I was working.
All right. Was he there both days?
Yes.
And during any of those conversations, did he say anything to you about the work that was being performed?
No.
Did he indicate that he thought you were leaving off any work that you were supposed to be doing?
No.
Did he make any sort of complaints at all about how you guys were performing your work?
No.
Okay. Now, after you got done installing the gutters and the downspouts before you left his home for the final time, did you let him know that you were leaving?
Yes. Yes.
And at that time, did he indicate to you, hey, you didn't finish this, or I have a problem with that?
No.
Now, after you completed the work for Mr. Clark, did you ever at any point return to his home?
Yes, we did.
When was that?
A few months afterwards. Was it June, I think?
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure on the date.
Were you by yourself?
I met with Chad out there
Okay. And why were you guys going out there?
because he had called with some complaints on the roof.
Now, when you got there, what did Mr. Clark say was wrong with his roof?
He took us up on the roof, and he was saying that the shingles were not installed correctly.
Okay. And did you all three get up on the roof?
Yes.
Okay. And what observations did you make with respect to Mr. Clark's roof that day?
We had agreed to fix the few small problems on it, and he was kind of demanding a whole new roof.
What were those few small problems that you identified that day?
The ridge cap needed to be straightened out a little bit, and there was a couple of nails that were showing from when the shingles were installed.
And does the straightness of the ridge cap, does that affect the soundness of the roof?
Not at all.
Is it going to cause water to leak into the home?
Not at all.
What about those few nails that you saw? Does that affect the soundness of the roof?
No, they will not.
And is that going to cause water to start leaking
No.
into his home?
No, it won't.
And did you say that you guys offered to repair those issues?
Yes, we did.
Would that have been an extensive repair?
That would have been something that would have just been taken care of for the warranty of the roof and to make sure he was happy.
Okay. Would it have taken you long to fix?
Not at all.
How long do you think it would take?
I would say maybe an hour at most.
Okay. So it's not something that was going to require you to, redo the entire job, right?
Not at all, no.
Now, that same day when you were there, did Mr. Clark mention anything about any kind of water leakage problem?
No.
And after you guys made this offer to remedy these couple of issues that you saw, did Mr. Clark take you guys up on that offer?
No, he did not.
Since that time, have you been back
No,
to
I
Mr.
have
Clark's home?
not. No.
Okay. There's a couple things that I'd like you to take a look at for me. You take a look at that and tell me what it is.
A picture of the roof and gutters.
And in that picture, do you see what is called the gutter apron?
Yes, I do.
And the gutter apron, where the 90 degree gutter,
Yes.
and where do the two ends, where are they supposed to sit?
One is made to go up underneath the shingle, and the other comes behind the gutter.
Inside the gutter?
Yes, inside the gutter, yeah.
Along the back wall?
Along the back of it, yes.
And does that picture depict the gutter apron as being
Flash
where
properly.
it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Okay. take a look at that. Do you recognize them?
Yeah.
What is that?
A piece of gutter apron.
And is there any sort of issue with that piece of gutter apron?
Yes. It looks like some wind or something has pulled it out.
Okay, so that could have been caused by...
That could have been caused by wind or when the gutters were cleaned or, you know, hard saying.
Okay. Minus Exhibit 7. Take a look at that. Can you tell me what that is?
A picture of a gutter hanger.
And do you see any issues with that gutter hanger?
The gutter hanger's fine, but it does look like the piece of metal pulled out a little bit there too.
Is that the gutter apron again?
That's the gutter apron, yes.
And that's something you said could have been caused by wind, right?
Yes. Or cleaning the leaves out, because you can kind of see where the leaves are behind it a little.
Now, looking at that one and referring again to Plaintiff's Exhibit 4, is that how the gutter aprons looked when you left Mr.
No.
Clark's home?
No, it's not.
Would you have left Mr. Clark's home?
No, that would have been repaired right away.
Okay. Plaintiff's Exhibit 6. Can you take a look at that? Do you know what that is?
It looks like the electrical head flashing.
Okay. What do you see issues with that picture?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is there any problems with the nail?
No, the nail has to be there to prevent wind from being able to blow that up and let that leak or
Blow what up?
blow the flashing up. The nail's there to hold the flashing down.
Can you identify any issues in that picture that would cause any sort of water leakage problem?
No.
Plaintiff's Exhibit 3. Take a look at that. Do you recognize that?
Yeah, that would be the furnace flashing.
Okay. And did you guys do anything with that?
We do not replace those, no.
Okay. And do you see any pictures? I'm sorry, should I cut? Was there anything in the contract that required you to replace the furnace
No.
flashing?
No.
And do you see anything with respect to the shingles that are installed around it? Any problems?
No. Shingles are installed exactly how they're supposed to be around that.
You see any problems in there that would indicate any kind of water leakage or could cause water leakage?
No. Flashing should be fine just like that.
Finally, Plaintiff's Exhibit 5. You look at that. Can you tell me what that is?
A picture of the tape measure, measuring the distance of the gutter there.
Okay. And how wide is the gutter?
About 4 inches wide.
All right. And when you install those gutters, do the shingles overhang them?
The shingles have to overhang them, yeah.
Why?
Because that prevents water from just backing up behind the metal on a wind-driven rain.
Okay. And how far is the gutter, or I'm sorry, the shingle supposed to overhang the gutter?
1 inch.
1 inch. And so, how many inches does that ruler depict of the gutter that doesn't have shingle overhanging it?
It shows around 1 inch, roughly 1 inch. It's a 4-inch gutter, and it shows 3-inch space there.
So a 3-inch space, a 1-inch overhang?
That would be 1 inch overhang, yeah.
And that's how...
That's how it's supposed to be, yeah.
And those 3 inches, does that leave enough room for a person to clean out those gutters?
Yeah.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
One moment, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello.
When's the first time you met Mr. Clark?
The day we started his roof.
And when was that?
2008. I don't remember exact date.
All right, January 20th, sound about right?
January 20th? I mean, I'm not sure. I thought it was a little warmer than that.
Okay. Can you look at Exhibit B in that book that you have in front of you?
Yeah, I'm on Exhibit B.
All right, it says start date January 20th, 2008, does it not?
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, you recall it being warmer?
I mean, it was 6 years ago. I don't know exactly how the weather was.
Okay, do you typically roof homes in the winter?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any difference or does it cause any type of impact towards the roof if you do it in the winter, if you do it in the spring or the summer?
If you roof a house in the winter, it can take a little bit longer for the shingles to seal down, but they will still seal just properly.
And how many people do you have working with you to re-roof the home?
4 guys, 5 counting myself.
Okay, were you there the entire time?
Yes, I was.
All right, was Mr. Rossworm there?
No.
All right, did he ever show up?
Just when we were called back out.
Okay, so from January 20th until whenever you finished, Mr. Rossworm did not come out. The only time he came back out was sometime in June?
Yes.
How many days did it take you to finish?
2 days.
All right. And you worked both those days consecutively?
Yes.
And it was you and 4 other men?
Yes.
And at some point, you removed all of the old shingles from the roof?
Yes.
All right. And there was some talk about bringing Mr. Clark out to examine the deck, the wood decking. Did that ever happen?
Objection. That's beyond the scope. He hasn't testified to that.
Overruled.
I didn't personally go ask him to look at the decking. We usually don't ask homeowners to come up on the roof. It's kind of dangerous. But he was out there in the yard when we were working on the roof.
Okay. Fair enough. You didn't remove any decking from the roof?
No.
You didn't replace it with any type of wood decking?
No.
Was it cold? Do you recall if you testified you thought it was warmer, so you don't remember if it was cold outside that day?
No, sir. I did not remember that long ago.
Okay. Do you and your employees typically drink on the job?
No, sir. Not at all.
So no one would have been drinking beer that day?
No, sir.
Who determines whether or not the decking or the wood on the roof needs to be replaced?
I do.
You determined it didn't have to be replaced?
No, the decking was fine.
Can you determine that without removing the shingles?
Not exactly, but in somewhat you can. I mean, when you have 5 guys walking on the roof, if you have a bad piece of wood, one guy's going to crack it or go through it or something if it's a bad piece of wood.
So it is possible for a roofer to go up on a roof and determine that a roof deck is weak? Would it be possible for you to examine a roof that already has shingles on it and determine that it's weak?
If you stepped on it and it went down and didn't come back, yeah, it would be a rotted piece of wood. But if it was a 3/8 sheet wood, that's going to give a little bit. That's just how that wood is.
The question, okay, but my question is, as a roofer, you can examine a roof and determine the roof decking to be weak without actually removing the shingles.
I can't see through the shingles, no. But like I said, if I step on it and I go through it, then it's going to be rotted wood.
Okay, so that's a yes, that is possible.
Not by visual looking at it with shingles over top of it, no.
But if you go up onto the roof and examine it, and step on it and walk on it, as an experienced roofer, you're able to tell if a roof is weak.
Yeah, if you walk on it and it holds your weight, it's good wood.
All right, what are the manufacturer requirements for shingle exposure?
Should be 4 inches.
4 inches?
Yeah.
All right, it wouldn't be... If I asked you that question, 3 to 4 nails per shingle
Should be
per
4
rain
nails.
slot?
Should be 4 nails per shingle.
Per rain slot?
Yes.
Okay. But there's an actual dimension of 4 inches.
Oh, are you talking nailing or exposure of shingle?
I was talking exposure of shingles.
Okay, exposure of shingles should be, actually I believe it should be 5-inch exposure. Should be at the top of the rain slot, yes.
So 5-inch exposure.
Yes.
All right. And when you talk about 4 nails per shingle, that's not shingle exposure?
No.
What is that?
It should be right on top of the slots.
Okay, but what is? What would you call 4 nails per shingle?
4 nails per shingle. I mean.
All right, but that's not the shingle exposure for the roof. That's just how many nails each shingle should have.
Each shingle should have 4 nails per shingle, yes.
Okay. So if I asked someone what the shingle exposure was, and they said 4 nails per shingle, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, exposure, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Okay. Defendant C3.
Yes.
All right, you didn't put any type of ceiling around the two, and you can tell which ones are the brand new posts that are coming out. The one right up front, there's one towards the back. Is that right?
Which ones are you referring to? The
I'm
electrical head or the stink pipes?
The stink pipes.
Okay, yeah. Those do not get caulked on them.
And because they're brand new, right?
They're brand new,
Now,
yeah.
everything else has to be caulked, right?
Not necessarily. If it was shingled properly, it should not need to be caulked.
Even if they're not new?
Because it has new ice and water shield slipped underneath of it in the felt paper and then the new shingles. So as long as it's shingled properly, they should not need to be caulked.
All right, were any of these things caulked?
No, they were not.
Okay. Now, the ventilation on this roof is that little turbine thing at the very top?
Yes.
Any other ventilation on
There
it?
is 2 other roof vents that are over on the other side. You have to find them in another picture. And some of these houses here also have gable vents in them, which with the gable vents and the turbine alone is usually proper enough ventilation for a house of that size.
What's a gable vent?
The vents that go on the sides of the house.
All right, does this house have a gable vent?
I can't see from the picture, but I wasn't asked to do anything about extra ventilation to the house. I was just told
I'm
to.
not, that's not the question.
Okay.
You weren't the person who negotiated the contract with Mr. Clark.
Yeah.
You're not the person who met with him.
Yes.
And you just followed the instructions you were given.
Yes.
All right, now, if he doesn't have, what did you call those, gable vents?
The gable vents, yes.
All right, if he doesn't have gable vents to the side of his home and all he has is this turbine, would you say that's proper ventilation?
Those do give more ventilation than the regular vents, and he does have a couple of the regular vents in too.
But if he didn't have the gable vents as a roofer, would you recommend more vents?
Well, that's up to the homeowner's discretion. It's their
I
house,
understand,
but
but if it was you, would you recommend more vents?
I probably would recommend, yeah. But the turbine vent does give out plenty of ventilation, though.
What does ventilation do for the roof?
It allows the attic to breathe, so you don't have sweat and condensation up there.
What happens if you get sweat and condensation up there?
Well, that's when you start to get mold and start to see spots on the ceiling and stuff like that.
After you left on January 20th or 21st, you had not been back out there again until June?
Yes.
All right, and you went out there for a complaint?
Yes.
Do you typically go out for complaints?
No.
Okay, why did you go out on this one?
Oh, I mean, yeah, if a customer calls, yeah, I'll be the one that was sent back out because I'm the one that did the roof, and I'd be the one to come out and fix the problem.
All right, so you typically go with
If there was-
Chad
Yes.
for complaints. All right, all right. How many times would you say you've been called out for complaints?
Maybe 2 or 3 times.
How long have you worked at Rossi Construction?
About 14 years.
I'll pass the witness charge.
Redirect.
Have you done any roof work this winter?
Yes, I have.
And even in the very cold temperatures that we've been experiencing recently?
Yes, I have.
So it's not uncommon for you to have to
No, I've
do
been
roofing.
roofing every winter since I've been roofing.
Okay. And it was 2008 you did this work, right?
Yes.
So, what, 6 years have passed now?
Yes.
And how many roofs would you say that you work on per year?
Roughly around 100.
100, so you see a lot.
Yeah.
You've seen probably, what, 600 since the time you
Yeah.
started this one?
Yeah.
So, does that play any part in your ability to remember exactly how the weather was or what date you started this job?
Yeah, no, I would not.
Now, plaintiff's attorney asked you some questions about your ability to determine the condition of roof decking without taking the shingles off. And you mentioned that if you walk on it, it might bend. Are there reasons that roof decking might bend other than it needs to be replaced?
It will give. I mean, sheeting can give when you step on sheeting in between a roof rafter. The roof decking can bend.
Is that a function of the thickness of the
plywood.
the plywood and
Yes.
perhaps the weight of the person walking on it?
Yes.
And what's the only way that you can tell for sure whether decking needs to be replaced?
Take the shingles and the roofing paper off.
Now, when you left Mr. Clark's home after finishing the job, did you look over the work you had performed to make sure that there weren't any loose ends?
Yes, I did.
That everything that was on the contract had been performed?
Yes.
And when you left Mr. Clark's home, was there any evidence that there was any kind of water leakage going on? That
No.
water intrusion into his home?
No.
And when you left the job, I mean, you were on the roof doing this job, right?
Yes.
So, is it fair to say then there probably wasn't a lot of snow and ice on the roof at the time?
I don't believe there was no snow and ice on the roof.
And certainly you didn't install new shingles that had snow and ice on them, correct?
No.
So after you left, can you think of anything that could have prevented the plaintiff from getting up and, if he so chose, on a ladder and checking out the work that you guys did?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty visual from the ground, too. It's not a very big roof.
Okay, and if he's standing on the ground, would he have been able to see whether or not you guys installed additional roof vents?
Oh, yeah.
All right. And he'd be able to see whether or not you installed the new gutters?
Yes.
All right. But there certainly wasn't anything even preventing him from getting up on a ladder if he wanted to.
No.
I'll pass the witness.
Anything else?
No further questions.
All right, sir. Just remain seated. Jury may have some questions for you.
Okay.